I don't think that you should be quoted in print before you turn 28. I was largely driven by wanting people to like me and approve of me. So I would say things that I didn't really believe, and oftentimes that backfired.
Welcome back to Glamour with me, Josh Smith, and today we're joined by the queen of our teens. And now you're starring in the second season of Riviera. It's Julia Stiles.
Hi.
What I love about Riviera is it is very juicy.
Oh, I love that.
It's dripping in drama and juice.
It's dripping in gold lame.
Which is the way I want to live my life. What I think is really amazing about your career is you have a very unique perspective on how the industry's changed. So obviously you burst onto our scenes in like the late 90s, early noughties, Save the Last Dance, 10 Things I Hate About You, seminal films which people are still talking about, which shows how incredible that kind of work is. And now you're having this amazing show with Riviera. How do you think in the space of your career the position of women has changed and the representation of women, would you say?
I think 10 years ago, I would have been afraid of becoming an actress in her late 30s. And now, almost because of these conversations, I can breathe a sigh of relief. And I feel like the opportunities for me and my peers are better and better as we get older.
You just said then when you, like 10 years ago, you would have been quite scared of being an actress in your late 30s. What impression did you have of the industry at that point in your life to have that idea in your head? Most
of my roles, or the roles that came my way, and with my peers as well, you were either the girlfriend, or eventually you'd shift over into the mom, and the two were not interchangeable.
No.
But the role that I wanted so desperately was Kat in 10 Things I Hate About You, and it was because I'd never seen such a feisty teenage girl on screen before. I mean, I know that there are examples of them, but for me it was like an opportunity to play this woman was new and exciting, but it was few and far between, and I didn't think that that could continue. Can you remember a time in your career where you felt like you couldn't speak up about something, or you were on the set and you were like, no, I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way, or you were like, you wanted to make your opinion heard, but you didn't feel like you were in a space where you could let that happen? I mean, I've worked with bullies. Without naming names, I was screamed at on a set and burst into tears my first day of work, and the producers essentially came to me and said, this is how it goes. So that message to me was, you have to take this kind of behavior. If everybody else around you is accepting it, then you have to as well. Now that would never fly. There's so many discussions around toxic masculinity now. Yeah. And there's been toxic masculinity, like you were saying about someone screaming at you at the face. And how have you, when you've come across that, how have you dealt with toxic masculinity, and what would you say to someone out there who might be dealing with it, and what advice would you want to give them? It really depends on the situation and the context. You know, I would love to say that in that situation I should have shouted back at him, or I should have said, you can't talk to me like that, but it wasn't the right situation to do that in. And I feel like ultimately I won because I was still in the movie. But you have to have standards, and you have to judge where someone will cross the line and what you're willing to put up with. The only way we can further the conversation is if we bring men onto the cause. Like, I'm a male feminist, and people should be joining that cause as well, don't you think? Like, that's what we need to do. I'm also raising a white boy. So what does that mean, you know? And my husband said the most beautiful thing when we were at the playground and some other parent looked at my son and he was playing with, I think, a fire engine, and she said, oh, what are you gonna be when you grow up? Are you gonna be a fireman? And my husband chimed in and he said, I just want you to be kind. Which is so cute. It's so wonderful. That is so cute. I think also one of the most amazing things that's come out of the Me Too movement is discussion around pay gaps, which is finally, thank God, because women should be paid exactly the same as men. Has there been a point in your career where you've been aware of that? When I get on the phone with my lawyer about, just recently, about what I was going to be paid on a little movie that I did, they pointed out to me that I was going to be making less than the lead actor, and it was my choice to accept that or not. I won't go into more detail because it's boring and champagne problems, but it's a conversation. It's now taken really seriously. What has your career taught you about success and failure? And how have you coped with failure, and how has that made success more important to you? I look back on a lot of my career and I really want to do-over on many things, where I now look back and I go, oh, I would love to have that experience again, or I would have handled this differently, or even just in terms of my performance, I would have known what to do better. but I learned from it all. So I can't really look at it as a failure.
What would you want to do over if you could?
Well, like every role until I was probably yesterday. And no, I don't think that you should be quoted in print before you turn 25, 28. You pick a number. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have been quoted in print.
Why?
Well, because it's like just figuring out what all of this is, the entertainment industry. I was largely driven by wanting people to like me and approve of me, because you're so used to, as an actor, auditioning and wanting people to hire you, and that means liking you. So I would say things that I didn't really believe or think to be true. It was just to what people were encouraging me to say, what I thought would get a laugh on a talk show, and oftentimes that backfired. In fact, the farther away I was from my own truth, the more that would backfire.
Can you name a time in particular that that's happened?
I can. I mean, there's been many times. I went on a late night talk show. I think it was Conan O'Brien or David Letterman. I was in college at the time. I was talking about college life and you know, they asked me if I ate in the cafeteria like a normal kid. I rambled on because I was insecure, and I think I used the term mole people, but my thought in it was, there was an Adam Sandler song at the time where it was a character on a sketch comedy show where he was playing the lunch lady and she had a hairnet and a mole. Then it backfired, and on a very like immediate level, the people that I was in school with were furious with me, and somebody wrote in the school newspaper, she's an elitist, you know, how dare she insult the cafeteria workers, which was so not my intention and not who I am as a person. And to know that the people that were working hard in the school, cleaning up the garbage, feeding us meals, thought that I was insulting them was so devastating to me, because it was absolutely not my intention. So anyway, I went and I wrote something in the paper. I wrote a handwritten apology to the cafeteria workers, but I learned a valuable lesson, aside from, you know, think before you speak.
Yeah.
That kind of thing is so exaggerated now because of social media. You do have to be careful about how what you say is perceived and the impact that it will have.
How has your relationship with your own body image changed as you've seen it change on screen? And are you much more at one with yourself now? Or can you remember times when you weren't necessarily so?
Somebody asked me if you could tell your younger self something about, give your younger self advice on acting. My answer was actually stop hating on your body. I used to put on clothes for a red carpet and be so uncomfortable just because I was trying to look good that it took away from the whole experience and enjoying the experience. And now I'm very conscious of making sure that I feel confident in how I step out into the world.
Obviously you were in a very empowering show, and it's fabulous, Riviera. What is the one message, to finish off, one message of empowerment you'd want to give to the audience out there? An
important life lesson for me is that you cannot control other people's behavior, whether they bully you, whether they put you down, whether they lift you up. All you can do is control your how you internalize it, your response to it, how you react to it.
Amazing, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For more empowering interviews like this with such empowering people like Julia, make sure you subscribe to the Glamour UK channels now.